May 2015, question number 4. May 2015, question number 4. We have a company called Shuka, a company that manufactures mobile communication gadgets, intends to acquire Panda Limited, which is involved in developing communication and networking software. So we have the current share price, we have number of issued shares, we have equity beta, and then we have number 2, assets beta. Whenever you see equity beta and assets beta being given in the same question, this examiner most certainly wants you to use what we call the Hamada's model, wants you to use the Hamada's model. And this is how the Hamada model works like. Hamada's model. So Hamada's model, unfortunately, so many students will get to know it. But when they go to an exam, most of them will always find themselves in a position where they have forgotten the formula. But of course, that does not apply to my students. Who is able to remember this Hamada's formula very fast? Who is able to remember the Hamada's formula very fast? Very fast, very fast, very fast, very fast. Who is able to remember the Hamada's formula very fast? Hamada's formula. Great. So Lucy, here we are. Hamada's formula, we have beta equity equals beta assets into 1 plus debt to equity ratio, which has to be adjusted for what here? For tax. Debt to equity ratio must be adjusted always for taxation. Thank you very much, Dahir. So we are told here free cash flows to the combined company will be shillings 216 million in the current value terms, and this will increase by an annual growth rate of 5% or 5% for the next 4 years before reverting to an annual growth rate of 2.25% in perpetuity. The combined operations of the companies will result in cash savings of shillings 20 million per year for the next 4 years, 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 per year for the next 4 years. The debt to equity ratio of the combined company will be 4:6 in market value terms, and it is expected that the combined company's cost of debt will be 4.55. I like that percent. Corporation tax applies to the company. The current risk-free rate is 2%, and the market risk premium is 7%. It can be assumed that the combined company's assets beta is the weighted average of the respective company asset betas. So they want us to estimate the additional equity value created by combining the two companies based on free cash flows. Ladies and gentlemen, you guys have taught you for so long, and for sure, you guys are even ready for this exam, only that you don't know that. You are pretty much ready for this exam. Because a student that I have taught, once they see this concept of what here somebody, current risk-free rate is 2%, the market risk premium is 7%, what will come to the mind of those students that I've taught once they see this concept of risk-free? We are saying yes. Thank you very much, yes. And what they will do, these students will tell you that in this particular case, we are looking for cost of equity. We are looking for cost of equity because, of course, there will be some discounting. There will be some discounting. So cost of equity formula using CAPM, of course, this will be risk-free plus ERM minus risk-free multiplied by beta equity. Multiplied by beta equity. But now remember that this is the geared beta. The geared beta, because our combined entity is an entity with debt. But now remember, the examiner has given you 2 equity betas. So the examiner has given you beta equity of Shuka. The examiner has given you beta equity of Shuka as what here? As 1.2. He has also given you beta equity of Panda. Remember, the two companies are coming together through what here? Through an acquisition. So beta equity of Panda is also what here? 1.2. But you see, my greatest students, I would want you to learn one thing. These are two companies coming together, a husband, a wife coming together, couple, right? So which beta equity am I going to use here? Which beta equity am I going to use here and why? Olivia tells me weighted beta equity. Olivia tells me weighted beta equity. Olivia is one of those students that I started with. She's working very hard, which is very good, which is very good. So she's telling me that, Mwalimu, now that you have got two beta equities, you're going to get an average. You should get an average. The worst thing, Olivia, you can do, listen, the worst thing you can ever do here is that is combining beta equities. Beta equities cannot be combined directly. Beta equities can't be combined, can't be combined directly. How I wish the entire Kenya had only one mother tongue. One mother tongue. I would have written this in that one mother tongue, ladies and gentlemen. I would have written this in that one mother tongue in capital letters. That beta equity can never be combined directly. Beta equity can never be combined directly. I'm repeating this as a chorus. There is no way, there is nothing that you can talk about even weighing them, putting weights before them. Beta equity can never be combined what here directly. If I'm given beta equities of two companies, beta equity of Shuka, beta equity of Panda, and I would want to combine them, the first thing that I need to do is to get beta assets for each company. So in this case here, ascertain beta assets, ascertain beta assets for each company. Ascertain beta assets for each company. Ascertain beta assets for each company. Ascertain beta assets for great. So, ladies and gentlemen, what have we said? That beta equity can never be combined. You can never put them together. You can't find an average of beta equity directly. If you're given beta equity, you're supposed to ascertain beta assets using which model? Using Hamada's model. Using Hamada's model. This model here. Using Hamada's model. Using Hamada's model. Great. But this examiner was extremely a good examiner. He was a good examiner. He knew that very many students would not be at a position of ascertaining beta assets for each company. So he went ahead and gave us beta assets. So in this question, if I were you, I would have written there that beta assets are given. So beta assets for the companies are given, have been provided directly, and therefore ascertain beta assets of the company, beta assets of the companies have been provided. So I will not use Hamada's model to ascertain beta assets of the specific. I'll not use Hamada's model to ascertain beta assets of the specific companies. So beta assets of the companies have been provided. Therefore, determine the weighted average. Determine the weighted average. Beta assets. Weighted average beta assets. What will you get? Some books calling WABA. Weighted average beta assets. So then, ladies and gentlemen, what will I do for us to be able, what shall we do for us to be able to get the weights? We need the weights. So I would want someone to give me the weight of Shuka, and the weight of Panda. Please give me the weights or tell me how to do it. Tell me how to do it. Remember, you've got two ways. You can either, ladies and gentlemen, type there, or you unmute yourself right away and speak to us. You speak to us. Very good. What in this case here, Mary has been able to know, for us to get the weight, we must get the values of the farms. We must get the market value. We must get the market value. We must get the market value of each farm. And for us to do that, these students of mine are very bright. Market value of each farm, what they are telling me is to take a nose. We take a nose here. We take a nose times market price per share. Nose times market price per share. Anytime you want to get, ladies and gentlemen, value of any organization, value of any organization, be it Safaricom, value of any organization, what do? You simply take its nose. You take its nose. Nose times the market price per share. This is what we also call market capitalization. Market capitalization. You take number of ordinary shares times market price per share. Is there anybody who is able to see number of ordinary shares? Number of ordinary shares, yashuka. Number of ordinary shares yashuka woyeni ngapi? Number of ordinary shares yashuka, number 210. Thank you very much. Number of ordinary shares yashuka 210. How about number of ordinary shares yapanda? Number of ordinary shares yapanda. Number of ordinary shares yapanda. Number of ordinary shares yapanda. Wanasema ni 200. 200. How about their respective market prices? How about their respective market prices? Is there somebody who is able to see the market prices, ladies and gentlemen? What do we have here for panda, for shuka? For shuka, it's 5.8. So we have 5.8. How about market price for panda? For panda, I can see it is 2.4. Thank you very much. So then could you kindly give me this market capitalization for each of the companies? Please, warning. There is no way you can use number of ordinary shares alone to get the weights. Not unless really you don't have the market price per share. If you have the market price per share and you have number of ordinary shares, then you must always multiply for you to be able to get the total market value for purposes of what you're getting. So this is 1218, I'm being told. 1218. 1218. How about in this case here, the market value of panda? Panda, I'm being told, is 480. 480. So is there anybody who is able to give me the total here? Please add the total for me. Please add the total for me. Add the total for me. Add the total, 1698. 1698, Marion, I'm not feeling you here. Marion, I'm not seeing you participating. We shall overcome. We shall overcome. Today, everybody must participate. Bethwell, I'm not seeing you. I'm not seeing you. Even Benaziri, but Benaziri, she said she's at work. Right? Right? Anthony Ongindi, you guys can't have such good names and you're not talking to me. No, I'll not accept. So to make them wait, they have got to be what here? Somebody proportions like that. They must be proportions like that. Thank you very much. Now, ladies and gentlemen, remember, I'm working under your instructions. So I've been able to get what here? I've been able to get the weights. So with this weight, then what do you think will I do to be able to get my WABA? What will I do to be able to get my WABA? WABA is weighted average beta assets. Let me help you. To get our WABA, ladies and gentlemen, our weighted average beta assets, I'll take weight 1, beta 1, plus weight 2, beta 2, like that. Weight 1, beta 1, right? Thanks very much. So weight 1, beta 1, plus weight 2, beta 2. So weight 1, what do we have here for weight 1? It is 1218 all over 1698 multiplied by beta. How I wish I would have said BA1, BA1 and BA2 so that you don't confuse. Because we can only combine, we can only put together beta assets. We can only put together beta assets. You can only put together beta assets. So is there anybody who is able to see assets beta or beta assets of company 1? Company 1 is the predator. Company 1 is the predator. So company 1, the predator, beta assets beta assets can't be 1.2. Beta assets, like what Rema is telling me, that Moranga, what she's telling me, ladies and gentlemen, is that beta assets for Shuka is 0.9. 0.9 plus weight 2, ladies and gentlemen. Weight 2, ladies and gentlemen, is 480 over 1698 times beta assets 2. Beta assets 2, which these students are not able to see. Beta assets 2. Thank you very much. Juliet Aching has now caught up. Very good. The students are not seeing Lucia Wanjia. Kemboi, thank you very much. At least they're now able to see. It's 1.2. 1.2. Now, in 4 decimal places, could you kindly give me the WABA? Could you kindly give me the WABA? 4 decimal places WABA. What do we have here? 4 decimal places WABA. What do we have? Weighted average, beta assets. So Mumbi tells me it is 0.9848. 0.98. Lily is also confirming that. 9848, like that. 0.9848. Thank you very much. The next thing, ladies and gentlemen, now that I have the consolidated beta assets, consolidated beta assets is the same as beta assets of the combined entity. Now that I happen to be having, ladies and gentlemen, these consolidated now beta assets, remember, what do you want to use these beta assets for? Listen. At the end of the day, ladies and gentlemen, what I want to get is my cost of equity. At the end of the day, what I want to get is my cost of equity using CAPM. The cost of equity using CAPM, ladies and gentlemen, cost of equity using CAPM. I know the formula, it's risk-free. Into brackets here, ERM minus risk-free multiplied by beta equity, multiplied by beta equity. Remember, in CAPM, let me give you some important pointer. We only use beta assets in CAPM equation. When addressing which area of finance. It's only in one area alone where we make use of beta assets in CAPM. Beta assets in CAPM. Only one area where we make use of beta assets in AFM. When using, very good. What you can see, or if you're telling us, we only make use of beta assets when we're getting KU, cost of equity of unlevered farm. And then number 2, ladies and gentlemen, when handling the APV concept. Otherwise, it is beta equity we normally use. You guys are becoming experts by the day. You're becoming better. Now, so what I would want you to do for me, now that these 2 companies have married each other, they are now together, I would want us, ladies and gentlemen, work with beta equity for a combined entity. What I happen to be having is beta assets of the combined entity. Beta assets of the combined entity is what I have as 0.9848. But they want me to give them beta equity of the combined entity. So what should I do now? Should I cry because I seemingly can't get? What should I do? Can somebody tell me? What should I do to be able to get beta equity of the combined entity from this particular beta assets? So they're telling me, Mwalimu, use the Hamada's model, yes. So now here I'm going to apply the Hamada's model. Thank you very much. And if it is the Hamada's model, I know that beta equity should be equal to beta assets into 1 plus debt over equity into 1 minus T, like that. Into 1 minus T, like that. Beta equity equals beta assets into 1 plus debt over equity into 1 minus T. pata potea, kuja hapa weka 0.98, 0.9848 into 1 plus, atu examiner hakuwa mwelevu sana. Examiner, what he should have done, should have been giving you debt to equity for each individual company. And then, of course, he should have given you the debt to equity for the combined firm. It is upon you to know that if you're using beta assets of the combined firm, then debt to equity has got to be debt to equity of the combined. So is there anybody who is able to see the debt to equity of the combined? Is there anybody who is able to see debt to equity of the combined? Let me see. Debt to equity of the combined. 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 So remember, debt is 4 and the equity is what here? Is 6. Debt is 4 and the equity is 6. So you are right. So it is 4 over what here? It is 4 over 6 times 0.7. You haven't even seen where I've gotten 0.7 from. You haven't seen where I got 0.7 from. 1 minus the 0.3, 1 minus tax. So the rate of tax that has been provided in this question, ladies and gentlemen, is 30%. Corporation tax rate is 30%. Corporation tax rate is what here? Is 30%. Thank you very much. So ladies and gentlemen, the other mistake, given the number of years I've always marked these papers, the other mistake I always see students doing, anakuja, unajua shetani, Satan is real and he's there. And Satan is very tough. Never joke around with Satan. Very tough. You must be a very tough individual for you to be able to repulse him. Unapata from nowhere mwanafunzi ameweka bracket hapa. So kumaanisha hii 0.7 itagonga paka gani? Inakuwa international disaster. So this 0.7, ladies and gentlemen, is only supposed to affect what here? The 4 over 6. Is only supposed to affect the 4 over 6 like that. So Erico comes and gives me a figure of 1.44. These are the kind of students I want now. They're moving pretty fast to give me the answers. Juliet pia mepata correct. Mwende pia 1.444 like that. 1.444 like that. Tahir, thank you very much. Thank you very much. Now, ladies and gentlemen, here I am. Now, I happen to be having beta equity. So this beta equity, which is for the combined organization, what I'll do very fast is to come and feed this equation with the parameters that I have. So in short, I'm supposed to come and say cost of equity, CAPM, equals risk-free. Is there anybody who is able to see the risk-free rate of return? Is there anybody who is able to see the risk-free rate of return? Risk-free rate of return, the students are not seeing them participating here at all. I'll not give them some present that I have today. Right? So I'm waiting for that feedback. Thank you very much, Rosaline. Violet Opio, thank you very much. Now I can see they're jumping in. Bena, even though she is at her workplace, she has jumped into the pool. Sarah Shukri, thank you very much. 2%. 2%. Now, with that kind of effort you're putting in, ladies and gentlemen, could you kindly give me the expected returns of the market? Could you kindly give me the expected returns of the market? Expected returns of the market. Expected returns of the market. Expected returns of the market. I really doubt. Because to me, the 7% is market premium. 7% is market premium or risk premium. 7%. Ruth, you are extremely wrong. Extremely wrong. So 9%, now they're guessing 9%, 9%, 9%, 9%. The current risk-free rate is 2%, and the market risk premium is 7%. So, ladies and gentlemen, whenever you hear the word premium, please know that already they have subtracted for you. Premium is this minus that. Premium. Already they have subtracted for you, and you should never try looking for market return alone. Already they have subtracted for you. Already they have subtracted for you. And you should never try to look for what here somebody for the premium or rather for market return. No. So whatever you guys are telling me is 7% is after deduction. Don't deduct again. Don't even try to tell me that the market premium is, the market return is 9%. I know it's 9%, but don't go that way. Whenever you see the premium, whenever you see the word premium, know that this examiner has already subtracted for you. The examiner has already subtracted for you. So times beta equity for the combined, which is 0.9848. You can see how many students who are saying 5%. There are so many. There are so many. Because they're subtracting again. And yet they have been told this is a premium. Premium means over and above. Premium means over and above. Premium means over and above. Don't subtract again. So what figure are we getting, ladies and gentlemen, here? What figure are we getting, ladies and gentlemen, at the end of the day? They're telling me at the end of the day, the figure 1.44. How did I forget that? It's supposed to be, thank you very much. It's supposed to be the equity beta, 1.444 like that. Thank you very much. Be blessed. 1.444 like that. So Juliet tells me that my answer here is supposed to be 12.11 like that. Beautiful. Beautiful. I've been able to get cost of equity, but ladies and gentlemen, there is no way I will be able to use this cost of equity to discount. Why? Because this organization has got debt in its finance structure, right? So I need to go a step further and do what Olivia is telling us. I need to go a step further and calculate what we call the WACC. We calculate what we call the WACC. And this WACC, now I expect you, my greatest students, to calculate the WACC for me, for the combined entity. So I expect you to come here and give us the WACC for us. So how do we get WACC? It is weight of equity, cost of equity, plus weight of debt, cost of debt, and this cost of debt, of course, has got to be after what year? After taxation. The cost of debt must be after taxation. So Bernard tells me to calculate the weights of debt and equity. And then don't forget these weights that Bernard wants me to calculate. The weight of equity will be equity all over equity plus debt. Weight of debt will be debt all over equity plus debt. Please go ahead and give me those figures. Please go ahead and give me those figures. Remember, it is weights of the combined organization, So I want somebody to give me the weight of equity right away. Right away, somebody give me the weight of equity right away. And then from there, we talk business. Caro Owor tells me it is 0.6. Caro Owor tells me it is 0.6 and I feel she's cheating me. Faith tells me it is 4/10, which I also feel that she's cheating me. Remember, debt is the one that is 4. Debt is the one. Debt is the one that is 4. Equity is the one that is what? Here, 6. So then the weight of equity will be 6/6 plus 4, which will be 6/10, which will be 0.6 like that. 0.6 like that. 0.6 like that. After that, ladies and gentlemen, debt, we can see debt is 4. Or rather, I don't even have to go this way. Once I get the weight of equity, I know that the weight of debt now will be 1 minus 0.6. 1 minus 0.6, which gives me 0. What here, somebody? Which gives me 0.4. Which gives me 0.4. Great. So, ladies and gentlemen, after that, once I have the weights, now I'm at home. Once I have the weights, now I'm at home. Is there somebody who has been able to follow up to where we are? Please unmute yourselves and talk to me. Somebody unmute yourselves and talk to me. Are we together?
Yes, we are.
Yes. Thank you very much. So now, having gotten the weights, it's quite easy for us to plug in. So please go ahead and plug in here. So what I'll do, I'll come and plug in here. I'll come and plug in here. So this is where we are. Our WACC will be equal to weight of equity, that is 0.6, times cost of equity is 12.11. Weight of debt, which is 0.4, times cost of debt. Also, you have to be careful to work with cost of debt of the combined entity. Is there anybody who is able to see the cost of debt really? Somebody talk to me. Cost of debt, cost of debt, cost of debt. Yes, they're telling me it is 4.55. It is 4.55. But now remember, they haven't told us anything to do with this 4.55, whether it's after tax or before tax. The good assumption to make is that this is before taxation. If you make an assumption that is after tax, please always tell us down there. Tell us that I made the assumption that this is after taxation, but always cost of debt, whenever you're given cost of debt, ladies and gentlemen, always assume that it is before what year? Before tax. So then 1 minus tax, you gave me 0.7 because tax is 30%. Tax is 30%. So you gave me 0.7 like that. You gave me 0.7 like that. Great. So I'm being told that WACC is 8.54. But now I would want to ask you, my greatest students, a question. What if you went to an exam and then you realize that these guys have not given you the cost of debt? Cost of debt is not given in an exam. Will you cry? What will you do? Cost of debt is not given. Cost of debt is not given. Cost of debt is not given. So in this case, ladies and gentlemen, they are telling me that always, whenever cost of debt is not given, use risk-free rate of return as your debt rate. As your debt rate. Reason being, ladies and gentlemen, remember, debt, or rather debt, for you to get debt, you must provide collateral. Your land, for example, has to be charged. So you provide the collateral, it means that if you don't pay, at least your collateral will be realized. So the bank basically is like working risk-free. So in most cases, whenever KD, cost of debt is not provided, and if I'm the one setting, if I was given a chance to set, ladies and gentlemen, trust you me, I can never give you this cost of debt. This is a lazy examiner. A good examiner will be silent on that. Why should I give you this? And I've already given you risk-free somewhere. I expect you to at least provoke your thought processes and take them a notch higher, because Section 5 is a serious level. This is not ATD1, right? Of which these students have gone ahead and given me the answer of 8.54%. 8.54%. Thank you. Thank you very much. So up to where we have reached, ladies and gentlemen, is there a student who can confidently tell us that Mwalimu, I would have gone up to there? Any student who feels that they would have come all the way up to here in this question? Only 2 students. Olivia, Dahir, yes. Alice, yes. Ruth, 80%, which is extremely good. Anybody who gets 80%, I'm better now, okay. Okay. 75%, very good. Even 60%, even 50%. Me, I'm happy with that. And now I can even go beyond. Now, ladies and gentlemen, you guys are great finance scholars. After getting this particular 8.5 for WACC, after getting WACC, what do you think will be the next thing to be done? I know what WACC is to do. I know what WACC, I know the work of WACC. Once I get WACC, should I just stop there and do what Kikuyuzia will call koma? Nilale. Discount, thank you very much. The students are very bright. They're telling me, Mwalimu, go ahead and discount. Discount with 8.54%. I like that. But now, honestly speaking, how do you want me to discount cash flows that I don't have? So the next thing, ladies and gentlemen, that you should have a thought of doing is to get your cash flows right. And of course, I would want a good student to do a cash flow statement for me, because I need cash flows. So please go ahead and give me the cash flow statement. Go ahead and give me the cash flow statement. Go ahead and give me the cash flow statement. So the free cash flow, ladies and gentlemen, they have given us free cash flow currently. Free cash flow to the combined company will be shillings 216 million in current value terms. And this will increase by an annual growth of 5% for the next 4 years. Oh yeah, unakuja hapo unasema 216 times 1.05. 216 times 1.05 square. 216 times 1.05 cubed. 216 times 1.05 raised to power 4. Alternatively, you can keep on growing these figures 1 year at a time. 1 year at a time. So could you kindly please tell me, could you kindly guide me, 216 times 1.05. This gives me what figures? So Alice Deronana niambia ni 226.8. Thank you very much. How about cash flow at the end of year 2? Remember, they have told us, ladies and gentlemen, to grow our cash flows by 5%. To grow our cash flows by 5%. To grow our cash flows by 5%. Wamesema free cash flows to the combined company will be 216 million in current value terms, and this will increase by an annual growth rate of 5% for the next 4 years. For the next 4 years. So that is year 1, year 1, year 1, year 1. Ladies and gentlemen, year number 2, they are saying it is 238.14. 238.14. And then now we go to year number 3, 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 year number 3. I'm being given a figure of 250, a figure of 250.05, a figure of 250.05, a figure of 250.05. And then Alice finishes this with year number 4, which is 262. 262 point what year? 262.55. 262.55. 262.55. And then, ladies and gentlemen, after the 4th year, we enter into the infinity. We enter into the infinity. The infinity is the one, infinity is the one of provincial officer. Infinity is the one of provincial officer, which will be equal to district officer, who must grow all over Kenya minus government. 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 So, ladies and gentlemen, remember when we talk of DO, this is the most current. Most current dividend, I can see it is this. Please never go back to this. The most current dividend is 262.55 into 1 plus the perpetual growth rate. Perpetual growth rate mlisema ni ngapi? Perpetual growth rate, oye, perpetual growth rate. The perpetual growth rate, they're not even giving me answers. The perpetual growth rate, that it is 2.25, isn't it? 2.25. 2.25. So nasema 0.025225. Right? All over Kenya minus government. All over Kenya minus government. Is there anybody who can remember Kenya, the cost of equity? Ladies and gentlemen, here you have to be very careful. Here you must be very careful. Here. If you want, in this case here, your pot to break right at your doorstep, it is here. Remember, we only make use, whenever it comes to valuation of an organization, we normally talk of Kenya minus government simply for purposes of getting further, deeper, broader understanding of the subject. However, you and I know that if it's a firm that is indebted, which has got debt, then this must be WACC, which I've seen, they have told me is 12.11. And again, here you have to be careful. Don't leave out percentages. We normally leave out percentage wewe kwa portfolio. Hey, ukiwacha percentages hapa, utaona maajabu. Utaona maajabu. Utajua kwa nini punda haina horns. WACC tafadhali. It is WACC tafadhali. Not cost of equity that you got somewhere there. For farm valuation, let's be clear. For farm valuation, we don't talk of Kenya minus government. We only talk of Kenya minus government when you are doing share valuation. When you are doing share valuation. Mary amesema mimi ndio nimetumia cost of equity. Sasa mimi ni mzazi akiwa blame lazima akubali. Lakini I'm so sure I even read it was supposed to be KE here, but we said for farm valuation, there is a topic called farm valuation. We always use what here? WSCC. So WSCC, they are telling me, Mwalimu, please take this elsewhere, not there. So in this case here, we are saying it is 0.0. Please don't write for me 8.54. Don't write for me 8.5. I know the damage that figure has done to my students. I can only write 8.54 when we are talking of portfolio, where I can omit the percentages. But here, we must always write in full, 0.0854. Thank you very much. 0.0854 like that. Now, kwa mwendo ule wa aste, could you kindly give me this infinity cash flow? Give me the infinity cash flow. Kwa ile mwendo wa aste, upate numerator, upate denominator, we divide, and then you assist me. Carol Ori has given me a very huge figure, 4268. So somebody has given me 4268 there, 4268, 4267, and 4268. We are talking about the same thing. Let us not fight. We are children of the same mother. Now you figure is very big, putting even my point as ID. Oh yeah. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I have my cash flows. Now, these cash flows are which kind of cash flows? Those cash flows that we are free to be able to share with the shareholders. However, apart from these free cash flows, there is some other saving we have made. There is some other saving we have made. There is some other saving we have made. Look at the third paragraph. We are told the combined operations of the companies will result in cash savings of 20 million per year for the next how many years? For the next 4 years. So unakuja hapo for the next 4 years, unasema plus 20, plus 20, plus 20, plus 20. Usiye kwa infinity. The 20 inaenda kwa 4 years. Na hii mwaka tulimwaga wanafunzi wengi sana. Chini sana. Tukawaweka chini ya basi. Chini ya basi. KASNEB ikawakanyaga. Kwa nini? Because wanafunzi waliposikia cash savings, you see cash savings is a positive cash flow. You've saved because you've combined. You used to have 2 CEOs. Now you're going to have only 1 CEO. You've combined, you've saved. So wanafunzi waliinterpret hii question na ile question ambayo naambiwa kwamba kuna capital assets to be purchased. Pale pa farm valuation, unaambiwa kwamba fine, these are the cash flows, but every year we must set aside like 20 million every year to purchase capital assets for future expansion and use. Sijui kama ushaona swali kama hiyo ambayo inakwambia mambo ya capital ama mimi naota. Especially those of you who have been watching those videos. Ushaona mahali naambiwa kwamba kuna capital expenditure which is needed to procure some assets. Yes. And for expansion. But you see now, if you're going to buy those capital assets, then it means automatically, ladies and gentlemen, that is a cash outflow. That is when we should come and do what? Deduct. But this, ladies and gentlemen, was a question where we were making a savings out of what here? A merger. So the 20 should be added like that. Should be added like that. So then this, ladies and gentlemen, will end up giving us what figure? This will end up giving us what figure? Please give us the new figures now. Give us the new figures. 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 Abracadabra. 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 Akigunda gives me 248. No, 246. 246.8. The second one will be 258.14. 270.05. 282.55. This one, of course, will remain the same. 42.68, like that. And then, ladies and gentlemen, my work really will be about discounting these figures. Will be about discounting these figures. So it'll allow me to come and write my figures here. Now I can rub this. 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 And then have my new figures here. 246.8, 258.14, 270.05, 282.55, and then we have 42.68 like that. And then you come and they give us, ladies and gentlemen, a column for PVIF. And remember, we are discounting these at WACC. At WACC. But now remember, there is one thing you must remember. Ladies and gentlemen, listen here. This cash flow at year 0, can we use it for purposes of valuation? Remember, you are coming in as a new investor. A new investor, you eye the D1s. A new investor, you eye the future dividends. These current dividends here will be going to the current owners. So any cash flow which is given to you at time 0, remember in finance, any cash flow that is given to you at time 0 should always be disregarded, always disregarded. Any cash flow given to you at time 0 in finance should always be disregarded. Always. Always. Not unless it's a cash flow for procuring, right? Like machines, the initial purchase cost, working capital. It has to be an outflow. But whenever you are given cash flow, cash inflow at time 0, cash inflow at time 0, when you are just beginning working, if that happens, then automatically you know that you are a thief. This is the time of planting. The time of planting, ladies and gentlemen, how do I get any dividends? And that is why even this provincial officer formula normally says that to get PO, the current market value, always use D1. You talk of D1, all over Kenya minus what here? Kenya minus government. To get this D1, this is the one that we normally take DO into 1 plus what here? Somebody, 1 plus G. 1 plus G. 1 plus G. So always. So ladies and gentlemen, then what I will do is to come and always remember, even myself, it doesn't matter where we are in. Whenever I see a cash inflow at time 0, that cash inflow, I was only putting it here for purpose of getting these figures. Otherwise, cash inflow at time 0 is irrelevant. So is there somebody who is able to give us these PVs at these respective timings? But how do you give us PV and yet you have forgotten the formula? How do you give us PV and yet you have forgotten the formula? PV equals who? PV equals who? PV equals who? PV equals who? PV, the formula. PV equals who? One plus R raised to negative n. So it will be 1.0854 raised to negative n. So it will be 1.0854 raised to minus 1, 1.0854 raised to minus 2, 1.0854 raised to minus 3, 1.0854 raised to minus 4. We have 1.0854 raised to minus. Remember, for infinity, we always repeat the figure that we have up there. For infinity, we always repeat the figure that we have here. So for decimal places, for these PVs, could you kindly give me figures? For decimal places, please give me these figures. So Alice gives me 0.9213. Thank you. Dahir has gone ahead to give me the second figure of 0.8488. 88. Go to the next one, ladies and gentlemen. Go to the next one, ladies and gentlemen. 0.7820, 0.7820, 0.7820. Dahir tells me 0.7205, and then of course this will be 0.7205. Aki sijui kama tuko pamoja. Tuko pamoja kweli, tuko pamoja kweli, tuko pamoja kweli. Please ask questions, ask questions. There are questions that if I do and I don't get even a single student asking a question, I always have a feeling that I'm teaching geniuses or nobody's understanding anything. Nobody's understanding anything. Either one of the two. Pamoja, pamoja, pamoja. So please come and give me now the PVIFs. Not PVIFs, but the present values. Give me the present values. So you multiply this and this. Give me like 2 decimal places. 2 decimal places. Give me 2 decimal places. Give me 2 decimal places. So Caro ananiambia, oh yeah, the first one is 411.64. 411.64. The second one ni ngapi? $219. Havana. The second one. The second one, 227. 227. Oh, the first is 227.38. The first one is 227. 227.38. 0.38. How about the second one? How about the second one? How up 219.11. 219.11. 219.11. And then we are, thank you very much, 1, 2, that is okay. 219 point. The third one, 211, 211, 211.18, 211.18. The fourth, 203.58, 203.58. The fifth figure, 3075, 3075.14. Thank you very much. So please give me the combined figure. Please give me the combined figure. Please give me the combined figure. It will be 39, 36. 39, 36.34. Thank you very much. So this is the total value. 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 So if you want to know the synergy, less the current value. Less the current value. When there are individuals, we have the current value. Shuka is able to get the, actually you even have these figures. I remember like Shuka, was it 16, 18? And then Panda, the current value, the current market value. Panda was 400 or something, or 1218. Can't remember very well. There's a place at the very beginning. There is a place at the very beginning. There is a place at the very beginning. So 1280 and 480 years. 1280 and 480. Could you kindly add the two for me? It will come to 1698. When you subtract like that, you should be able to get the additional value. The additional value. What we call the synergistic value. The synergistic value. Synergistic value. The 1 plus 1 equals 3. 1 plus 1 equals 3. $22.38. 2238.34. So thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. That is what I wanted you to master for